Have you ever felt that your cat is watching you with excessive attention, or that it seems to perceive something that you cannot see? Carl Jung, one of the most enigmatic thinkers of the 20th century, warned about a hidden detail in cats that few have understood until today. What Jung said about them could transform not only your perspective on these animals, but also your understanding of the invisible aspects of your psyche and the collective unconscious. And yes, what you are about to discover will surprise you. Stay until the end because I will reveal 3 hidden symbols that, according to Jung, might suggest that a cat is not merely a pet, but a living expression of something deeply spiritual and psychological in your life. A young patient of Carl Jung arrived at his consultation with a troubling confession. For weeks, he had been dreaming every night of a black cat observing him from a corner of his room. The animal did nothing. It did not attack or move, only stared intensely at him night after night, as if it knew something he himself was unaware of. When hearing this, Jung initially thought it was simply a product of imagination or a meaningless dream. Quite the opposite, he remained silent, deep in thought, and then responded with a phrase the young man would never forget. Animals in dreams, especially cats, are living symbols. They represent what we have repressed, our shadow. For Jung, nothing in the unconscious was accidental, and when a powerful symbol like a cat appears, it's not by coincidence. It is a manifestation of the unconscious trying to speak, warn, illuminate something hidden beneath layers of rationality, trauma, or repressed emotions. In analytical psychology, this is known as the shadow, a dark part of our personality that we deny, reject, or simply refuse to see. According to Jung, cats, both in dreams and in real life, can be messengers of this shadow. The most curious part is that after this conversation, the patient not only stopped having the dreams but also began to notice the presence of real cats around him, on the street, in the yard, on the roof in front of his window. Jung explained that this was no coincidence. The unconscious, when ignored internally, begins to manifest externally. The cat, symbolic of mystery, stealth, independence, and connection to the unseen, is one of the most powerful channels for such messages. From that case, Jung started developing an even deeper understanding of the symbolism of cats in human life. They were not just domesticated animals, but archetypal representations of the unconscious, living presences that, like dreams, appeared to confront us with what we preferred to ignore. Perhaps if a cat has ever stared at you without apparent reason, what you were truly feeling was not just its gaze, but your own reflection in the most silent and ancient mirror, your shadow. For Carl Jung, cats were not simply creatures of habit or decorative figures in human history. They were profoundly symbolic expressions of the world, living manifestations of ancient archetypes dwelling deep within the collective unconscious. From ancient cultures to the dreams of modern patients, the cat repeatedly appeared as a symbol laden with meaning, a silent message reciting through the ages. Jung understood that archetypes, primordial images we share as a species, are expressed through universal symbols, and among them, the cat occupied an enigmatic place. In ancient Egypt, it was revered as a spiritual guardian and symbol of the sacred. In the Middle Ages, it was feared and associated with the occult. In Eastern cultures, it was considered a protector of the soul and home. These cultural variations were not mere coincidences, but reflections of a profound psychological truth. The cat represents that which cannot be tamed, the mysterious entity that observes from the shadows, the part beyond our conscious control. Jung maintained that every time an archetype appears in our life, whether in a dream, a synchronicity, or through the physical presence of an animal, we should pay attention. Therefore, the cat is not just an animal. It is a symbolic figure pointing to a part of ourselves that needs integration. It could be the forgotten intuition, the repressed sensitivity, or the connection to the mystery that modern life has silenced. In his writings, Jung said, "Where there is a cat, there is a threshold, a boundary between worlds, between the visible and the invisible, between the conscious self and the unconscious. The cat does not enter your life by accident. It acts as a messenger of the unspoken, a guardian of the unresolved. Its unpredictable behavior, ability to see in the dark, apparent indifference, and constant presence all reflect the complexity of the human soul. That is why Jung was not surprised when, during moments of existential crisis or inner transformation, many people began to notice the persistent presence of cats around them. To him, this was a clear sign that the unconscious was starting to speak, not with words but with symbols. Few symbols, he said, are as powerful, ancient, and revealing as a cat that stares at you, as if it knows something you are not yet able to see. Carl Jung, the scientist and psychiatrist, believed that the soul held as many mysteries as the universe itself. Every symbol that emerged in a person's life, be it in a dream, a synchronic event, or even in the relationship with an animal, was a door to the depths of the psyche. Regarding cats, Jung shared his most intriguing insights over years of study, observation, clinical work, and symbolic experiences. He arrived at 3 revelations about these animals that radically changed how many perceive them. The first revelation Jung shared about cats is that they symbolize the active shadow, that part of us that represses fears, guilt, traumas, and unacknowledged desires. Interestingly, Jung pointed out that cats do not only symbolize the shadow in dreams but can also act as reflections of it in real life. If a cat appears during moments of emotional conflict or exhibits unusual behaviors in certain parts of the house, it may be indicating dark areas of our psyche that need to be acknowledged and faced. There are testimonies from patients who, after experiencing episodes of deep sadness or anxiety, began to notice their cats approaching only when their emotions were out of control. Jung interpreted this as a symbolic expression of the shadow, seeking integration. The cat does not shy away from darkness, it looks directly at it. The second revelation Jung identified is that the cat is a living channel of profound intuition. While humans become trapped in thoughts, obligations, and rationalities, the cat remains connected to something more essential. Jung explained that, by not being governed by the ego, animals inhabit a purer state of consciousness. In the cat's case, this awareness is highly sensitive. When a cat enters a room and pauses, silently looking at a point in space, Jung suggested, it is not actually seeing emptiness but perceiving what the rational mind cannot process. To him, cats are like radars of the soul, sensing changes in the environment, emotional vibrations, and symbolic presences that elude our senses and react from an instinctual place that connects directly with the collective unconscious. In other words, when your cat acts strangely, do not ignore it. It might be perceiving something your consciousness has yet to grasp. The third and most profound revelation relates to something Jung understood scientifically, but saw as a spiritual symbol: the purring of the cat, a frequency of psychic healing. Jung believed that certain repetitive and gentle sounds could serve as bridges between the mind and the soul. Tibetan chants, shamanic drums, and mantras, in his view, were vibrations, restoring internal balance. In this sense, the purring, those constant hums a cat emits when relaxed, peaceful, or near someone in pain, was not merely a sign of comfort. It was a healing frequency harmonizing the emotional field of the listener. Today, science has begun studying this, discovering that purring ranges between 25 and 150 Hz, precisely the spectrum that aids tissue regeneration and stress relief. However, Jung had intuited this long before. For him, purring was like a silent prayer, a vibration emanating from the soul, not from the mind. These 3 revelations, cats as symbols of the shadow, as channels of intuition, and as spiritual healers, make their presence far more meaningful than mere companionship. Every cat that appears in our life is a living symbol of the mystery within us, a silent mirror that guides us, challenges us, and sometimes even heals us. Perhaps that is why when a cat stares silently at you from a dark corner, it is not just observing what is in front of it, but what lies inside you. For Jung, knowledge has no value unless it can be lived. Every symbolic revelation must be integrated into daily life, and animals, especially cats, are no exception. If these felines embody aspects of our shadow, channel deep intuition, and emit healing vibrations, then their presence in our homes should not be taken lightly. Jung offered a series of suggestions, not as rigid rules but as invitations to observe more consciously. The first practice Jung recommended is to see the cat as a living projection of your unconscious. In analytical psychology, everything around us can be a reflection of internal processes, just as a dream reveals what we feel unconsciously. The behavior of your cat may be a symbolic manifestation of your emotional, mental, or spiritual state. If your cat consistently avoids certain areas of your home, shows discomfort suddenly, or remains silent with you during moments of crisis, it might be sensing energies you are not yet aware of. Jung said that this observation should not cause paranoia, but increase awareness. The cat becomes a subtle mirror of hidden realities, an indicator of the invisible. The second practical advice was to keep a record of symbolic behaviors. Just as Jung encouraged his patients to keep dream journals, he found it useful to note coincidences, sensations, and patterns related to animals, especially during critical periods of life. If you are experiencing pain, anxiety, or transformation, and your cat starts acting unusually, it could have a deep meaning. Jung suggested writing down these occurrences and relating them to internal emotions or decisions. Over time, these records can reveal patterns in your life, connecting the external world with your inner landscape. Finally, Jung emphasized treating the cat with symbolic respect, not just as a pet but as a companion on your path of individuation. The journey toward becoming a complete self by integrating all parts of your psyche. If the cat embodies aspects of your shadow, your intuition, or your healing capacity, respecting its presence becomes a spiritual act. Petting it consciously, letting it approach when it needs to, allowing it to sleep where it chooses, and expressing gratitude for its companionship during difficult times can be acts of ritual and integration. Jung also stated that respect for symbols activates their transformative power. Dismissing the symbolic reduces its meaning, but approaching it with reverence awakens its true potential to teach and heal. In the end, Jung advised viewing the ICI cat not as a simple domesticated animal, but as an archetypal figure loaded with wisdom, a silent guardian that, if treated well, can reveal much more than we imagine. Perhaps after reading this you will begin to see your cat with new eyes because, according to Jung, nothing external is truly outside. Everything reflects the soul's inner world, seeking to remind you of who you are, even if through the mysterious eyes of an observer in silence. For Jung, nothing in life is entirely accidental. What most call coincidence he saw as synchronicity, meaningful events that occur when the soul is ready to see. In this light, the presence of a cat in your life can be much more than the arrival of a pet. It may be a signal, a symbol, a mirror that life or your unconscious places before you to awaken you, to see with different eyes what resides inside. Jung believed that everything around us reflects a part of our psyche. If a cat appears during moments of distress, stays with you in silent nights, or looks at you as if it knows what you are feeling, do not ignore it. It may not be just an animal, it could be a manifestation of the mystery within you. Just as dreams speak in symbols, cats, with their penetrating gaze, enigmatic independence, and extreme sensitivity, confront us with what we have refused to see: our repressed emotions, unresolved fears, and most sacred intuition. And so, when you stop to observe them, something begins to change. You start to notice that their silences speak, their movements make sense, and their presence is not merely emotional but profoundly symbolic. You may begin to sense that they are guiding you, protecting you, or even helping you heal parts of yourself you didn't know were wounded. Because sometimes, as Jung suggested, the soul whispers. Its whispers can come gently and silently, wrapped in the soft, quiet presence of a cat. Therefore, if you have a cat, I invite you to observe it with new eyes. Ask yourself what part of you it is reflecting, what energy it is sensing, what message it carries. And if you do not have one but feel this message resonating within you, perhaps it's only a matter of time before this living symbol crosses your path. Because, as Jung believed, when the soul needs something, the universe conspires to show it. Even if it's through a feline that appears without being called, exactly at the right moment. Have you ever experienced something mysterious with a cat that you cannot explain? Ever felt that your pet knows more about you than you do yourself? Share your story in the comments. Perhaps your experience is precisely the sign someone else needs today. Because in a world that grows louder and more disconnected, there are symbols that continue to gently knock on our door. Sometimes they have whiskers, silent steps, and watch with the wisdom of those who have been here long before us. Thank you for joining me in this deep reflection inspired by Carl Jung's psychology. Remember, nothing external is truly outside. Everything that arrives is trying to reveal something that already lives inside you. If this message remained with you, leave in the comments, I believe, right in you until the next video.